What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of That Scuffed Up. This is episode 8 coming at you fast. Look out! It might miss you through the strike zone. How you doing today, Steven?
We're doing good. It's been another busy week, not only with OC Wiffle but just the world in general. You know, it's been a busy week for both of us. We're just wrapping up with school now. You just finished. I've got about a week left, so we're very much in that summer mood right now. It's starting to feel like summer again as well, and with all the wiffle ball going on, it's starting to become a busy time for everybody around here.
Yeah, a little transition phase for a lot of people. People are changing, maybe got the summer jobs going, getting the beach day together. Certainly doesn't feel like summer weather yet. You know, it's kind of been overcast where we're in our neck of the woods. About 70s, mid 70s or so. Nothing crazy, which is fine with me. I like that kind of weather. I like colder weathers for that honest part. Not anything up in like the upper 90s or anything like that. Kind of drains me out there during the day, but yeah, kind of glad we have this weather right now and not like 60 or below type of weather like we had beginning of the year, but it's nice.
Yeah, exactly. So, some people possibly looking to summer jobs, and some people are like, I don't have a summer, and they just keep working their normal jobs. I understand that. I was going through that last couple of years, and that's not fun. But you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and some people are probably celebrating too, graduating and stuff like that. I know there's a lot of people I know that graduating and had their ceremonies probably either a couple weeks ago, this week, or coming up very soon. I have one brother that's graduating in June, surprisingly. Um,
Okay. Yeah, whoever's out there, just say congratulations to Ethan. He did it for once. Who would have thought?
yeah, he did. He made it.
Who would have thought, man?
I had a 1% uh, bet on him to make it through high. No, just kidding.
Well, the odds would have been great on that one.
Oh yeah, who would have taken the over under on that, right? You know.
Yeah, there's a certain over under. I think some might, based off of last night.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. We betted on the concert for the Angels game at the time of this recording about a day ago, and it was set as okay. How many songs is he gonna play? We chose over under 7. I chose under 7 because
Just about every. So Jordan Dressler set the bet. 7.5 songs over under. Nearly everybody chose the under, except for me and him, because it just felt like the easiest win you could have. And he ended up playing like 14 songs or something like that. So it was quite a clear, easy win. 7.5 songs, that would be like 30 minutes for 7 songs. So he's gonna play for more than 30 minutes. So
my mindset going into that was like, okay, there's no way he's gonna like drag this shit out all the way till the like whatever it was 11:30 at night or something like that. Like there's no way he's gonna drag it out like that.
Oh, they don't care.
I think he's like gonna maybe do a few songs. I was like, people want to go home or stuff like that. I mean, there's people leaving the stadium, but ultimately he played like 14 songs, so great. But I'm just glad I didn't bet money on that because I would have been kind of sad.
Jordan and I would have been rich.
Yeah, literally. I think we had at least maybe 9 or 10 people in that bet.
Yeah.
But moving on, let's get down to business. We just had a full week of gameplay. We have another week coming up here. We're almost to the halfway point of the season, where we start to see whether these teams, start to fall or start to rise or, whatever it is now. We had a pretty good shakeup this week. Let's get into it. This is the breakdown, week 4 of OC Wiffle Ball. Let's start off with the very start with our usual, the 6:30 time slot. And we got the first game in the books with the Brothers of Bash and Wiffle D's. With the Brothers of Bash absolutely cleaning the slate with a 13-0 win.
Yeah, just before I give my opinion on that, hopefully, I'm not sure if it'll be up starting this week or next week. I've started doing my own portion as well. Just quick 5 to 10 minute breakdown of each week, just kind of going through it a little bit quicker, just giving my quick thoughts and stuff on it. I'm not. I've sent it over to Anthony at this point. It's Sunday night right now. I'm not sure if he's. I'm not sure if he's put that up yet. But if he has, and that's the beginning of that, so we can start posting that stuff as well. But here we'll kind of go like talk more, just in general of everything. But there I go pretty quickly and talk about the different games and stuff. But starting off with the first game. I mean, Brothers of Bash right on that 6 seed. They at 1-2 record. They kind of needed to come in here with a couple wins, and they were able to get the first one right away with a 13-0 victory over Wiffle D's. Nick Grusa with a homer. Nick Hedges also with 2 singles and 2 homers in the game. Very much the Knicks show in that game. It's what they needed. They've had a little bit of struggles this year. But they've been a little bit hit or miss in certain games this year so far. But overall, it's not too much of a downer for Wiffle D's either. They're still right there in the 8th seed. Now moving to 1-4. We'll see what that puts them in the standings. But a good start to the day for the Brothers of Bash.
Yeah, certainly. It's good to see them starting to fight for that playoff spot. Still a lot of season for them to go. They only have played about 3 games up to this point. They had a bye week the first week. So kind of good to see them kind of fighting back into that W column. Wiffle D's still, young team, group of guys on there. They have a pretty big roster. So, keep an eye out for them. Little things can always switch around on them. They have some pretty good stat lines in terms of batting average. Maybe not the most home runs out of any team, but they spread it out pretty evenly. I think every single guy has home runs on that roster. The Garza brothers looking pretty good on the batting sheet right now. So, yeah, they look pretty good. Moving on to the second game. We have the LA Wiffles of OC taking on the latter group of guys from the original.
The LA Wiffles of OC B team.
Yeah. That's what we're calling them. Okay. Taking on Whoosh and coming away with a 14-4 victory over Whoosh and the OC Wiffle Ball team. Or no, LA Wiffles of OC team move on with another win on their column.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in the podcast last week. It's obviously not a B team. It's just a lot of players that play on Whoosh used to play with me at LA Wolves of OC. Glad to see that they're still in the league, even though they're not with me. It's glad to see that I haven't driven them away. That's always a good thing. So, but LA Wolves of OC, they came out hot. They came out swinging. Stephen Hayden having a nice day in this game. Going in his 5 at bats, going 4 for 5, with 2 homers, a triple, and a single, almost hitting for the cycle. Jordan Drushler doing good work up there as well. Not getting out once at all, with 2 homers, a single, and 2 walks. Justin Lee chipping it in with a single and a triple. And then just a lot of walks and consistently getting on for the rest of the guys in the lineup. OC, they've been a little hit or miss at some points during the year, but this was the game that they took care of and jumped out early on Whoosh. I mean, Steven hitting the leadoff home run. For Whoosh, they were able to get some hits together. It was just they had certain situations where they had runners on base and they weren't able to get them across. You can attribute that in part to the pitching of Steven and Jordan, but I mean, they're 2 of the tougher pitchers to face right now. They both have under 3 on their ERA. Actually, Steven has the 2.3 ERA and Jordan has a 3.46 ERA, I should say. So both under 3.5 ERA, but overall, it seemed like the Wolves of OC, they started getting back on track. Whoosh, I keep saying it every time. They're a tough team. I think they could sneak into the playoffs, but it's just been they've just had a very tough schedule so far, and it's with this loss now, them going to 1-4, it's starting to look unlikely that they'll make the playoffs. But anything's possible. We still got 5 more weeks left to go.
Yeah, they can completely turn it around if they wanted to. They have the clear bats to do so, like having Yusuf on there, Don Lecomte and Ryan Miller, Owen Schur. Those guys are probably your big hitter guys on that roster. I should mention, I mean, Jordan looked like he was having some troubles early on with some of the loaded bases situations, but able to get out of it. So he looked pretty good. And I should also mention that the LA Whistle OC did not have a cutter with them, so they brought in like a guest player, which is my brother Christopher Lee. So a little bit of help on that side. There was a lot of big hit balls out into the field. It's just really good defense by Woosh to be able to catch a lot of those balls that are going right and left, which way, sideways, and all that. There was one Jordan hit, which was his 50th home run, I should mention. Congrats. He's officially on the 50 home run list of all time. If you guys want to check out all the players who have recently hit or who are in the 50 home run club, you can check that out on LC Wiffle's website. Some pretty cool graphics on there. You got like Anthony Grusa, Ben Cody Spody, True Hendrickson and Shaden, of course, Ethan Rathman, Brandon Williams, and then yours truly, obviously, Stephen Hayden and Jordan Drexler are on there now, both inducted in this season. But there was one ball that Jordan hit that got slammed hard. Nick Usel looked like he had the catch and it kind of bounced out of his hands. That just shows you kind of the raw power that Jordan has.
Yeah, I mean Jordan's been hitting the ball extremely well. He's having a great offensive season so far, hitting 682 with a 781 on base percentage. Just getting on base a lot. He's gotten on base 25 of his 32 at bats as well, only getting out 7 times the whole year. It's one of the best ratios of getting out versus how many plate appearances he's had. He's been big for the LA Wolves of OC, and the combination of him and Steven have been big for them, and are a big reason why they're 5-1 so far this year.
Yeah, and moving him up on the list and everything like that. We'll see later here. There was a small shakeup in the standings at the moment, so let's get down to that business. But before that, we got to mention the third game of the 6:30 slot, which was the Bad News Dingers taking on the Angel Hernandez Strike Zone. Bad News Dingers taking away the win with a huge 15-6 victory with 9 runs over.
Yeah. Bad News Dingers in that 7 seed entering last week. They were looking for a way to sneak into that playoff spot right now. They're right on the cusp of it, and this helps them out a lot, moving up to 500 now. It was a good day for the Bad News Dingers. Sorry, I'm looking for the stats here. Where is they? Where are they actually? It was good pitching and everything from them. Where are they? You talk about it for a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you go.
Hernandez Strike Zone. I mean, new team. Of course, they've had a lot of struggles this year, trying to figure out the game overall. But Bad News Dingers came in, looked pretty good. I mean, their hitting stats. They've got some pretty good hitters on that team. I think the most is tied between Alan Yakovlev and Brett Humphrey. Sorry if I butchered that name at all. They both have 3 home runs on the season now. But looks like they have some pretty good, consistent bats on that lineup. So they look pretty good, taking on Angel Hernandez Strike Zone. So that's kind of the confidence builder game for them.
Yeah, they're able to battle and really maintain their push on the playoffs right now. Shane McCord getting his 2nd homer of the year in this game as well. They could be a team that sneaks into that 6th spot. I think it's very possible. But for a team Angel Hernandez Strike Zone, we talked about it before. It's the first season. They're figuring it out. They're a very dedicated group. They're continuing to work and get better. But for right now, they're going through the growing pains. And I feel that. I had 2 seasons where I finished second to last place and finished 7th out of 10 teams as well. So it's just one of those. You go through the growing pains. You start figuring it out, and maybe in the future, you figure out a pitcher or two and get some more consistent hitting. Overall, they have a 256 average, which I probably want is one of the lower averages in the league, I believe. But once they start figuring that out, I think they can be a good team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they have a good chance to slide in there if they wanted to. They're sitting in the very middle line right now, so they could probably sneak into that divisional spot if they're able to maintain where they're at. I mean, it's still up for grabs for anybody. It's kind of tough to judge for the top four seeds though right now because all those teams either have no losses or have one loss on that. So it's going to be kind of hard to kind of fight for that spot with the top four seeds. But the fifth and sixth seeds are all up for grabs still. So
Yeah, it's very much a battle. It seems right now it's very much a battle for those fifth and sixth seeds. The top four seeds, they seem kind of locked up right now with the teams going into this week. Everybody was already 2 games ahead, or at least a full game ahead of everybody. And we had the top 4 teams with a winning record and a positive run differential, and then no one else in the league had a winning record or a positive run differential. So it'll be a battle for those fifth and sixth place teams to get into the playoffs.
yeah, it's an interesting like shift and balance between like the top four teams and then the rest of the other ones with the run differential like plus 40 and above for the top four seeds, and then you look at the other side, it's like negative numbers all the way down. Kind of, it's a weird stat line to look at, but like that's just how the talent distribution is for the league and stuff like that. I mean, it's still competitive. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's definitely really nice to see how competitive it is with all these teams. And speaking of competitiveness, if you're okay, I can move on to the 7:30 slot with the Avocabros taking on Whoosh, and the Avocabros just edging out a one-run victory over Whoosh.
Yeah, it was a game they kind of need. It was a game really both teams needed. Bush needing it to get their streak going towards the as we get to the middle of the season. Avricabros needing it to as we get to the middle point of the year. And Avricabros were able to sneak out a 4-3 victory, a very hard fought game. Lucas Sardo doing very well. I believe Hayden Higger might have had two homers in this game, or at least one homer in this game. But overall, it was a very low-scoring game for both teams. Usually, you see a team like the Avocabros get up a lot of runs, but they've shown in the past as well when they need to, they can compete and sometimes win those close games as well. So it was a good sight to see if you're an Avocabros fan.
Yeah, I mean, Hayden Higger, who was the Rookie of the Year a season ago, he's already picked off from where he started. You know, he's got about 8 hits, 8 home runs, so big in the slugging department over there. Lucas Sardo, really good numbers with a literally flat line 500 average, 7 home runs, 11 hits, 7 singles, 2 doubles, and 2 triples. So, doing it all for his team out there on the field. This one was interesting to watch, just because Whoosh and Avocabros generally usually have a big like score differential between when they play other teams. So to see this one kind of like low scoring, kind of close to the wall there, kind of interesting to see. And yeah, I mean big implications for fighting for a playoff spot at this point in the season now. So hard for the Whoosh team. I'm sure they'll try to figure it out coming in the next few weeks. But Avocabros really fighting for that 5th spot, which they currently hold right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah. Whoosh. This is kind of this one hurts you. Now, especially after losing to the LA Wolves of OC, you now move to 1-5. You possibly could go down. They already were in the 10 spot in terms of the standings. Now they could go down to the 11 or 12, which once you get down there, it starts to not look very good. But it's one of those. They're more talented than what their record says. They've just been unable to get some wins streaking together. So we'll see. We'll see if that schedule has anything to do with it. My understanding is that they still have to play the Beach City Bombers as well. So that's going to be tough for them to try to win that one. But maybe those other games they can get some wins in there.
Yeah, I mean they kind of got the brunt of like the harder part of the schedule and stuff like that. I mean they're still hitting pretty good. Nick Yusov has been like their biggest key pickup on there. 16 hits, 500 average, 5 home runs. So he's been really good for them. And I mean, for us, when he was on LA Wiffle's OC, he was really good. So
Yeah.
that's a really good season pickup for them in that off season for them. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, the main issue with Woosh has just been like the pitching. I mean,
mhm.
as a team, they average an 11.92 ERA as a team. With Nick Yusoff has had some struggles. He hasn't got a lot of outs and has given up a lot of runs, so that ERA pushes up for the team. But Donald Lecomte with a 10.27 ERA and Owen Schur with a 10.40 ERA. I don't believe I believe it's the defense from when I was playing against them. It was just more of they were just leaving some pitches over the plate. There were a couple unfortunate errors that led to more runs, especially when we played them. Overall, I think there can be improvements made in the pitching area in terms of how their ball moves. They throw a lot more straight pitches, so I think that's something they can try to improve on for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their defense is definitely not bad at all. Like they caught a lot of those line drivers that we had in the field, so they have the tools to be able to set up this team for a playoff run and all that. I mean,
Yeah,
just more diverse arsenal with the pitching a little bit, and I think you kind of can flip around the way the you play other teams and have a different approach in there. Like Jordan obviously was a straight thrower pitcher with that fastball, and then transitioning him over to be able to throw more of a diversified arsenal with all those pitches. Like you see the numbers now, they show it for himself too. Like they're really, really good compared to a few seasons ago for Jordan. So
yeah. Maybe the pitching coach Stephen Hayden's got to go work with him as he did with Jordan Dressler. Maybe he's got to get in the off season lab with them once the season's over. I think Owen sure does have a connection with Steven, so he might have to hit him up and get some practice in.
yeah, maybe we need to send you to the Los Angeles Angels too to kind of fix up whatever's going on
Okay,
over there.
they just need other help.
Yeah, very interesting topic to introduce later on. With reading a report from Aaron Loop, who said the Angels pitching staff told him to throw more breaking balls rather than diversifying it with fastballs and breaking balls. So, not sure what's going on in that clubhouse right now. But anyways, let's move on to our next game. We have the Beach City Bombers, who have already been on a run as of late, playing Wiffle D's and absolutely demolishing them in a 21 to 1 victory.
Yeah, it was a rough day for Wiffle D's. You combined scores from their two games. They lost 34-1. It was not a great day for them overall. They faced two of the tougher teams, two teams that are in playoff spots as of right now. Beach City Bombers just continuing to do what they do. The pitching of Zach and Tyler Moore. Which funny fact, I actually played a baseball game against Zach Moore today. I got pitched against him a bit and was able to get on. He didn't pitch. He plays center field, but I played against him in some Sunday league games and a Sunday league game today. Unfortunately for me, they won. It was a 4-2 game. It was a good game at least, but
Yeah.
coming back to this game. Just their 5-man lineup of Tyler, Zach, Charles Phillips, Will Contrell, and Ryder Johnston. They were able to do the job. Overall in the day, they had some great numbers. We'll get into them more later because they have a doubleheader and the 8:25 slot. But overall, they produced a lot of offense against Wiffle D's. Wiffle D's does have some good pitching, especially with one pitcher. But it just wasn't enough to stop this team. And it was good. Usually the Beach City Bombers are in a lot of like low scoring games in which they win. So they show that they're able to explode when they need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach Moore, Tyler. I mean, we could literally put them in the argument of best duo in the league now, with the numbers that they've got. I mean, a 1.71 ERA, 2.12 ERA. There's a reason why they're both brothers. They're basically mirroring each other in terms of stats. Zach Moore basically taking it over on that side too. I mean, he just barely edges out his other brother in terms of batting stats and all that, and pitching for the most part. 11 hits for Zach, 9 home runs compared to Tyler, who's got a 448 average. They're both very close to that solid 2 on their OPS, just sitting right under with 1.9 and slightly above that. I mean, they come out here and totally transform the way that this team plays. And not taking away from the other guys like Charles Phillips, who's got like a 1.429 OPS, 348 batting average, 3 home runs. He's basically that other big support player, and I think that's just kind of the key you need for a team like that, is just having those 2 solid players and then just a good like support players just behind you as well. And that's kind of just set up for success. So they're going to be a force to reckon with. We say it every single time, but they're going to be dangerous when this playoffs schedule starts getting closer. And so,
Yeah, it'll be interesting how they're able to battle once. I mean, it's pretty certain that they're going to make the playoffs unless they just fall off catastrophically. They just seriously fall off catastrophically.
catastrophic.
Can't speak, man.
It's all good.
But it'll be interesting to see if they're able to get more offensive production. Overall, as a team, they have a 536 batting average, on base percentage, I should say. And all the guys on the team have more than 15 at bats have an above 500 on base percentage. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to continue that, especially once you get to the playoffs. Once you face a tougher team like the MS Warriors, the Purple Huskies, or the other Wolves of OC, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and then later in the breakdown of this, we'll see later that Beach City Bombers had another huge thing going for them in their favor. But before that, we got to talk about the next game in that slot. The Brothers of Bash take on the LA Whiffles of OC, this being a rematch of the divisional game from a season ago. But LA Whiffles of OC completely threw it out the water, 14-0 blowout win for the LA Whiffles of OC.
Yeah, it was a very dominant win. It was a statement win for the LA Whiffles of OC. They built off the momentum from their earlier game against Whoosh, ending again with 14 runs, but this time not allowing a single run on defense. And actually, I believe Brothers of Bash only had 1 hit, which is interesting, especially since Brothers of Bash got a 13-0 victory in their first game of the day. Justin Lee getting it started off quickly with a 3-run homer. Chris Lee, the substitute player, hitting 2 home runs on the day in this game. Stephen Hayden also having another 2 home runs, moving his homer total up to 9 for the year. Jordan Dressler actually was a little quiet in this game. Got walked a lot. Only went 1 for 2 though. Dylan Menji with a triple. Dominic Caroni getting on base a couple times, one of them being a double. Justin Lee did step up this game, going 3 for 5 with a homer and 2 singles as well. And then on the mound, Steven and Jordan were dominant again. Obviously, as we mentioned, not allowing a single run. Steven not allowing a single hit, and Jordan only allowing the 1 hit. Just looking at the stats for the LA Wolves of OC, it's been. You talked about duos a little bit. I think you can make a pretty clear case, especially with what they did in the spring, that this is possibly the best duo in the league right now. Jordan Drescher with a 682 average, 781 on base percentage, 9 home runs, tied for second in the league. And then Steven with some absolutely ridiculous. Also, Jordan Drescher, I should add, before I move on to Steven. Also has a 3.46 ERA, 15 2/3 innings, 29 strikeouts, and only giving up 9 runs the whole year. It's been quite remarkable for those two. And even the game where it goes quiet, someone else steps up for the team. And I think that's what they need going for the future once they get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the stats a little bit, and you look how insane that the stat line between both of the guys are. I mean, you could argue that Jordan was going to run away with that whole MVP thing, but literally these last 2 games basically put Steven right back in that conversation, and probably wait, I'm not finished. Probably put him in front of Jordan. You could definitely make that argument now. I mean, the average jumped up to 778, OPS at 2.553, 8 home runs, and the most, singles on the team. And I am pretty sure the rest of the league. Oh no, never mind. Dylan Hoffman has the most singles, but
that one's more of like a ratio of how many at bats he's had. I mean, especially if you compare that. I have I've only had 32 at bats. Meanwhile, he has, I believe, somewhere in the he has like 49 at bats already. So it's one
Oh,
of
okay.
the ratio for Steven is a lot better.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jordan's been a little frustrated because he's mentioned that I'm having my best offensive season. I'm doing so well, and then Steven's just right there doing better than me. It's like, what more do I have to do?
But I mean, that's
So
good. That's a good problem to have, especially on a team who's just demolishing. I mean, if it was like any other team between you two, like if it just be like,
yeah,
I
if
think
we
you'd
were
have
on
a
different
problem.
teams
Yeah.
like it used to be before, it would be a different story. There might be some different conversation, but just going over some of those numbers for Steven, as you mentioned, he's been one of the top hitters so far and one of the top pitchers as well. Through 6 games, has a 778 average. You talked about the average jumping up. It actually didn't jump up that much. He started last week at a 740 average. So the average actually didn't jump up that much. He went 7 for 9 last week, 4 homers, possibly player of the week right there. Pitching 6 in the 3rd innings, only giving up 1 run the whole time as well. He could be in that player of the week. But as we're going back to the stats, 778 average, 813 on base percentage, 32 plate appearances, and 21 hits. He's gotten more home runs than he has gotten out, which is nuts. He has 8 home runs and only has gotten out 6 times the whole year. And then on the mound, he's got a 2.3 ERA, 18 in the 3rd innings pitched, 42 strikeouts, which I believe that means only like 12 of the outs have been like ground balls or pop ups, and then has only allowed 7 runs on the whole year. He's getting hot at the right time, and we'll talk more about Steven later about his wiffle ball experience and his outside of OC wiffle ball as well. But it's been extremely helpful for the other wiffles of OC to continue their success. They built off that championship this past spring.
Yeah. There's literally nobody else in the league that has like a 2.1 OPS or higher. You know, Shaden's right there at 2.058, but not any higher than that. I mean, that stat line is absolutely insane.
Yeah, and Anthony made that post about the two of us as well. It's been, I mean, you could possibly have an MVP and a Silver Slugger right there. We could have this discussion another time about like who's the midseason MVP award winners and things like that. You can make a case. You can make a case for guys like Steven, like Jordan, like Drake, or Dylan Hoffman, or things like that. You can make that case for guys like that. It's possibly the mid-season MVP so far. Might be something we have to talk about next time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll cover that once these week 5 games are over. You know, we'll be past the halfway point by that time. So, anyways, let's go to the most anticipated game of the week. This is the one that we wanted to pay attention to, as we said from a week ago, but our prediction was wrong. It's the MS Warriors taking on the Beach City Bombers, and the Beach City Bombers taking the upset 7-0 against the MS Warriors.
It was very much a dominant performance for the Beach City Bombers. They were able to keep the MS Warriors very much off balance. Just not able to get many base runners. The only main base runners they had were just hits that they had. But overall, it was a great day for them. For the Beach City Bombers, I should say. Overall, between their 2 games, they had their 2 games. They won the first game 21-1, and this one's 7-0. Just the 5 of their lineup that day. Tyler Moore had 2 homers and a single. Zach Moore had 2 homers. Charles Phillips had a single, a double, and 2 homers. Will Cantrell had 2 triples, which you don't see too often. It's pretty hard to get a triple and a walk in there as well. And Ryder Johnson had 3 singles, a double, and a home run. So it was a very impressive performance overall on the day for them. Really solidifying themselves as one of the top teams in the league. I believe in the new standings they might be up to 2nd right now. But it was a very impressive game to watch, and they were just able to frustrate the MS Warriors. I mentioned this in the little breakdown. I haven't seen the MS Warriors that frustrated at the plate since they played Steven in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
The Steven guy sounds good. I don't know who he is.
we're talking about playoff implications for those top 4 seeds. The Beach City Bombers taking away this one, and if anything, if the stat line stays the same, 1 loss for both those teams, I mean, this is the header that the Beach City Bombers want, because that means they'll be taking that first game bye from the divisional, and they'll jump right immediately into the championship game. So this was huge for them in terms of it, and I mean, this is a statement win too. I think both of us predicted that the MS Warriors would come away with a huge win, but the City Bombers exceeded those expectations and completely flipped the script on the MS Warriors. So here we are, Beach City Bombers back in that conversation with the top second seed now for them. So so we had another close game, and we're moving on to our next game, which is Anthony Agrus's team, Goat Hill Pitchers, needing a key victory and taking on the Trash Pandas, coming away with the win 8-7 in a very close one.
Yeah, very very close game. They were Anthony Agrus and his team were able to hold on to a victory at the end against a very well hitting team in the Trash Pandas. Harrison Gore with a big homer in the fifth inning. That one's been recorded on video as well. What you would have seen on the story earlier in the week. Overall, the Trash Pandas did hit well. Michael Hascup with 2 homers and a single. He's really turned into a good player both on the mound and at the plate. Pete Cordy with a single. Brian Workman with a homer. Mo Wright with a homer. Blake Fitzgerald with a walk and a single. But it wasn't enough to overcome Anthony. And Anthony, he had his struggles the first couple weeks, but he started to bounce back coming into this week. He's been doing better, especially with the pitching. He's been able to keep people more off balance than he has the first couple weeks. Hitting stats have gone up. He's back up to I believe last week he was back in the 200th average. He's up to 321. Now up to 3 homers on the year. And then Matt Hornich has been doing great things for them as well. Up to a 480 average. Actually, funny enough, has not walked the whole year. And he's improved pitching as well. A lot more straighter pitches, but it's stuff that people are swinging and missing, or they're popping up to right to the opponents. So, I mean, he's had very limited innings. He's only had 4 innings pitched, but he has only allowed 1 run so far this year. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to keep this up. And right now, I believe they're in that 8th spot. So we'll see if it's enough to work them into the playoffs. They could possibly be in there for a playoff spot.
Yeah, absolutely. They have the roster to do so. I mean, you can talk about roles and all that stuff. I mean, Lauren Caruso had 4 innings, holds a 4.50 ERA, so maybe we'll see a little bit more action coming from her. Hopefully down the road. Anthony's holding down the fort with his 10.71 ERA in 14 innings pitched. Matt Hornich has basically been their big hitter the entire year up to this point. 6 home runs, like you said, with a 490 batting average. I think that's a 480 actually.
Yeah, it's 480.
It's hard to see. It's a really small font, but yeah, they have the roster to do so. We've talked plenty of times. You know, they just need that one extra guy to person.
Not this again. You messed it up the first time. Cancel him. I'm sending this to their team, and it's getting canceled.
And it looks like it could be Lauren Caruso. It could be any one of those people on that roster that could step up to this plate and potentially push them into that playoff conversation. But yeah, we'll yet to see what kind of happens down the rest of the road. I kind of keep an eye out for them in this upcoming week. But
yeah. I mean, Shelby's shown some promise as well. Put some good when she's been at the plate. She's put some good pieces on the ball. So unfortunately, sometimes they've gone right to people. But so far, in her first real experience with wiffle ball, already has a 375 on base percentage, which I've seen a lot worse. I've seen a lot worse for me when I first started playing wiffle ball. So I think there's some promise there, and there's been some promise on the mound as well. I think it just gets a little more consistent. She could possibly go into that number 2 pitcher, that number 3 pitcher role. That could be something it's something you don't see around the rest of the league either. You don't see many female pitchers on different teams. Anthony's really the one that does it the most for his teams in the past. I know the other was Savosi. I've had a couple times where my sister Brenna pitched a little bit. But she would first make fun of me for thinking I don't pitch well, and then she goes up there at the beach games and spikes 12 pitches in a row. So
Oh man.
I think she had a new appreciation for how hard it is to hit the strike zone, the way that we do. But Anthony's had more success with the female pitchers, so I think that would be a cool addition if you get a full time female pitcher going, whether it be Lauren or Shelby.
Yeah, absolutely. But you and I both just shitting on our siblings is hilarious as it is. Um, but yeah, it'd be really cool to see, that starter female pitcher out there, in a hit or two. I mean, Shelby was kind of a late season addition to their team, so anything can change within a week or so.
Yeah.
But keep an eye on that. Yeah, it seems like Anthony usually had success with those female players on that roster. So we'll see what happens if they're able to flip it around here coming through. But moving on to the final game on our schedule, we had this was probably our second most anticipated one. This the Purple Huskies taking on the Avocabros. Avocabros needing a pretty big win in this one, but came up short in a pretty close one actually. 42 victory from the Purple Huskies.
Yeah, it was a pretty tight game overall. Neither team able to create much separation from themselves. Drake Hoffman having a great day. 3 solo home runs for him. Then Nick Escalera pitching in with the solo home run in there as well. Overall, only 4 runs that were given up by the Avocabros were all solo home runs on the day. Another low scoring game. This time the Avocabros do lose this one. But they showed they can compete in the low scoring games as they have in the past, like when they played the other Wolves of OC, like a 4-1 game and a 7-1 game, things like that. Purple Huskies looking good. After this week, they sit as the number 1 seed in the league, with being the only undefeated team. It's going to be very hard for them to. It's very hard for them to see them losing a game. They've already beaten the Beach City Bombers. They have yet to play the MS Warriors or the LA Wolves of OC, who I believe are the other 2 teams that could possibly beat them. But that may be saved for a future matchup that we'll talk about more. We'll talk about more later on. That may possibly happen later on as we talk about it more in the podcast. We'll get into that more if the Purple Huskies play any of those teams, but. Yeah, it's a very tough lineup to face. With you got Drake, True, Shaden, Nigel, and Nick. It's a very tough lineup to face. And then when they pitch, you either get Shaden, True, or Drake. Just keep rotating in and out. The main thing it'll be an issue in the future. I believe somewhere around the June 10th range. Shaden Hendrickson is leaving and won't be back for the rest of the season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens once that comes around. But for right now, they remain the only undefeated team in the league, and it's well deserved.
Yeah, they're standing at the very top right now. I mean, this is kind of what we expected from that loaded roster on that side of things. Drake Hoffman is picking it up over the 2 former MVP players, home run derby champions, the Hendrickson brothers. So I mean. It's hard to imagine them getting a loss here, but I mean, we'll mention it pretty soon. The Sand Series is going to come up pretty fast, so once the Purple Huskies and MS Warriors play a game against each other, one of those teams are going to have to take that L. So it'll be interesting to see how things go between those 2 teams. I mean, if anyone's going to be able to take the Purple Huskies down, it's going to either be the MS Warriors or the LA Wolves OC. I mean, the Purple Huskies already played Beach City Bombers. That was the reason why they have 1 loss on the record now. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, we're coming close to the halfway mark, as we said. So, anything is 100% possible for how this thing's supposed to go down.
Yeah, I mean, Drake Hoffman, we mentioned him a little bit earlier, possibly having a possible MVP season. Only has 11 innings pitched. They rotate a lot. They have the 3-pitcher rotation, which we've seen in the past, but hasn't been applied very much. But so far in 11 innings, he's only allowed 1 run with a .55 ERA. And then hitting wise, he leads the league in home runs with 11. He's 2 clear of everybody else. We'll see if he's able to maintain that or if anyone catches up to him at all. but it has it with a 417 average and a 571 on base percentage. It's possible. It's possible. He's in that MVP race right now to me. Between guys like him, Dylan, Steven, Jordan, people like that. We could talk more about that in a future podcast and things like that. But so far, so good for the Purple Huskies, off to the back up to the number 1 seed for the first time this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's kind of the breakdown for week 4. Hopefully, you got some things taken from this breakdown and see what kind of the big things going on around the league. But a lot of interesting stuff there, and we'll talk about coming up here after the break, the week 5 matchups coming up soon. And with those week 5 matchups and week 6 matchups, you got the Saints series also coming through, so we'll talk about that after the break as well. But before we head to that break, we got some interesting news from a ways down towards Fullerton. With the 4th overall pick in the 2023 SoCal Wiffle Ball Draft, the Pacific Sharks select Stephen Hayden. SoCal Sharks, my apologies, to the Stephen Hayden from the LA Wiffles OC. Congratulations, Mr. Stephen, and welcome to the SoCal Sharks.
Yeah, I unfortunately will have to retire for now from OC Wiffle Ball. It's unfortunate, but wait, I can't do that. Oh,
no.
I can't do that. I guess. I'll show the jersey right here. It was officially posted. As we're recording this, it was posted today. I've been drafted. There's another wiffle ball league. We've talked about them before, called SoCal Wiffle Ball. I've been doing some stuff with them. Was able to get drafted. Was the number 4 overall pick. I have some interesting stories on that, but very happy to be part of the team. You talk for a little bit. I'm going to put this jersey on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to hear what you're going to say, but just start talking and I'll join back in.
So, yes, he was drafted 4th overall pick. There was a couple of guys in there that were interesting draft choices. The first overall was this nasty pitcher who was like 14 years old, got picked 1st overall, and then his brother got picked, I think, in the later part of that 1st round. Dude looks like he's like 8 years old, but he throws like nasty pitches.
The Lee brothers.
Yeah, I mean that was crazy. I showed my brother that picture, and he was like, "That guy looks like he's still in kindergarten."
The younger guy, which Jordan Lee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 11.
Dude looks young as hell.
In this league, it's a little bit different. With OC Wiffle Ball, we try to keep it like usually like college or above. This league, it's if you're good enough to play, you're good enough to play. It's a select league. I have to go to a tryout in order to get in, to get noticed by all the managers and things like that. And overall, I was kind of at a disadvantage. I was really one of the only people that was not known before I came into the draft. So I had to play well, and obviously I played well enough. I was the number 4 overall pick. There are some funny stories as to how that came to be, but but overall, I'm very excited. We'll join the SoCal Sharks. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted to quote a few things from that draft pick for the Sharks, it was they said they liked the draft pick really much. They said, talking about the combine, if you want to check out that video later, but they liked the hitting was a big thing for them, and then they said the biggest need for the SoCal Sharks was that pitching side of things. So they got their guy Stephen Hayden with the pitching. Throws a really good arm. I mean, I saw that this guy has like a bag of like scuff balls with him. Every time we practice each other, this guy will go behind, because the pitching mound to the plate is a little different in SoCal Wiffle Ball. But this guy literally lasers those things like crazy. Throws arm angles like Patrick Mahomes. It's crazy. So I'm just glad that I don't have to face him anytime soon in a game, because there's no way I'd be able to beat that guy. But here we are, Stephen Hayden, round 1, pick number 4 to the SoCal Sharks.
Yeah. In the video, they mentioned me as a very good all-around player, just a player that the Sharks kind of need. They think I can fit well into their system. from being around the other guys. With my captain being a guy named Walker Randolph, maybe we'll get him in here sometime. Talk about the process of figuring that out. But there were some interesting stories that came out actually about this. If I can find it, yeah. Okay, so here, yeah. So funny enough, it was posted on their Instagram a few days ago that there were a few trades in the league in terms of draft picks, both actually involving the SoCal Sharks. So originally, the SoCal Sharks had the number 1 overall pick. As last year they had the worst record, but actually they made it to the. They won their first playoff game, and then they lost to the Pacific Panthers, which is actually the commissioner's team, Commissioner Dustin Staggs. But they had the number 1 overall pick. They talked about in the combine. They were possibly looking at a guy like James Lee, who, by the way, is one of the nastiest pitchers I've ever faced as a hitter. As the most disgusting 12-6 curveball I've seen in wiffle ball. But after looking at it, they had some interest. They actually traded that. They actually traded the number 1 pick. They traded away the number 1 pick, which by the way, I've been told they were looking at me to be the number 1 overall pick for them. They were actually pretty set to go with me, but draft master Walker Randolph he worked his magic, ended up trading away that first round pick for the number 1 overall pick, I should say. For the number 3 overall pick, and got some money in that as well. I think got like $40-50 and something like that. That's how valuable one team saw James Lee. But I mean, Walker Randolph still had me above James. So then he made another trade, going down from 3. He played some more mind games. The number 3 overall pick in this draft, Nolan Jackson. Walker had played with him before. He had been a reserve on the SoCal Sharks the previous year. And Walker Randolph basically forced the King Cobras to move up in the draft. And in moving up in the draft, they had to give away a guy by the name of Jared Tapia, who finished 3rd in the Silver Slugging Award, had a .471 average in this league last year with 7 home runs. So not only was Walker able to draft the guy he wanted, which he said he wanted to get me. He's also able to get $40 and a Silver Slugger hitter and very good defensive player out of it as well. So I call Walker the draft master now whenever I see him. He's done a great job, and I think the Sharks are. And they talk about it in the video as well. I think the Sharks are poised for success. The only thing is we're possibly going to be their second pitcher in this league. We played every video. We played 2 games, and each pitcher can only pitch 1 game or 3 innings per se. But we have some guys like a Walker Randolph or an Evan Ursua who can also pitch. It's just one of the consistency needs to be there, but the consistency needs to be there for me as well. And I'm able to supply the pitching and the bat and the defense. You'll see that hopefully in future videos once we start recording for the season and things like that. So it'll be a fun time. But I'll be bouncing both college baseball, OC wiffle ball, and SoCal wiffle ball as well. So it'll be a busy summer for me. That's for sure.
Yeah, getting the reps in, Steven. I did want to talk a little bit about PJ Gordon's team. Sorry, PJ Walker.
We're not talking to PJ Walker. He's either in the XFL or he's on a backup in the NFL. We're not talking about him.
Yeah, absolutely. PJ Gordon's team picking up Jordan Lee, who runs the Bomba Llama. So interesting pick for them. They got the pitcher, so they have 2 really good pitchers now, which is I guess Jordan Lee in this case and PJ as well.
Yeah, with Jordan, I'm not sure how much he's going to play right away. If those who know, he don't know PJ Gordon. He played in this league in this past spring. He was the number 1 pitcher on the Diablos, who ended up going to the World Series, but unfortunately for them, they lost to the LA Wiffles of OC. But they drafted Jordan Lee, who's an 11-year-old kid, brother of James Lee, the number 1 overall pick. That's going to be interesting because neither of them are old enough to drive, so they got some, and they live in Newport Beach, I believe. So they not only did they not play for the same team, but they also play in different divisions as well. as explained in the video. If you guys want to check it out, go check out the SoCal Wiffle Ball page.
So that carpool is going to be interesting.
Yeah, the parents are probably not super happy right now. But overall, it's been a good experience. It's been a good experience. It's been good. I've been doing stuff with Dustin, kind of understanding how he does stuff and trying to help in any way I can. But it's been fun. Eventually, you guys will see the videos rolling out. I believe the first probably these next couple weeks you'll see some spring training games, and then starting June 18th, you guys will see the first series, which is a rematch of last year's World Series, in which the defending champions Placentia Penguins take on the Pacific Panthers. So that'll be interesting. The first game for the Sharks, which will be on YouTube, will be on July 2nd. We'll be taking on the Barbaric Apes. So that'll be a fun one to. That'll be a fun one. Hopefully I do well, and hopefully the video comes out good as well. And hopefully you guys are able to, if you guys are interested in just some different wiffle ball, you get some different rules in there compared to OC wiffle ball. If you guys are interested, please come check it out.
Yeah, it's interesting. The the Barbaric Apes. It seems like the league has a lot of mascots who are after different animals. Whereas OC Wiffle has kind of those like mixed bag of different names, like LA Wilson OC or MS Warriors or Wiffle D's. So
yeah, they keep it more related to the animals. They also have a lot of what's the word? Is it like an onomatopoeia?
Yeah.
You have like two words starting with the same letter and just having it work like that, or like PJ's team, the Bomba Llamas, it just rhymes. Things like Barbaric Apes is one of the few that really doesn't. So
yeah, that one's like the standout one that doesn't exactly go right with that, but it's interesting.
Yeah, that one and the Fullerton Phoenix are the two standout names to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say Fullerton because F and then PH they sound the same. So
yeah, true. Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, that probably could be what it was, but let's see. I want to talk about, because I know there's the Fast Pitch tournament coming up pretty soon. I know we've represented OC Wiffle Ball in those tournaments, and I think we're going to be setting up to just start here again. So if anybody's interested, I think you're looking for some people to play on this team, right?
I'm trying to get like some of the best players from our league to play in this thing. We're going to have a team to represent OC Wiffle Ball. Hopefully, it's the SoCal Wiffle Summer Series. It's hosted by Peter Mockabee, taking place in Upland. 4 different Saturdays throughout the month. Fun thing about this one, you can use any type of ball you want and any type of bat you want. For example, actually, if I can find it over here. For example, you guys can use a big barrel bat like the one I have right here, which actually Justin doesn't know this. It just came in. I ordered it a while ago, and it just came in just in time for this.
Justin.
So we can obviously out there we use the yellow wiffle ball bats, but here you can use like the big barrel bats like this one. It's about a much bigger bat. It's got a wood handle on it as well. You can't see the rest of it because I put some back grip on it as well. But it's a wood bat, and then you have screwed on. It's a different type of bat. It's called a screwball bat. So that's been attached on. So I'm very much looking to hopefully represent OC Wiffle Ball in more tournaments like this, or possibly I've been talked about possibly representing SoCal Wiffle Ball if we don't do anything like this. So those are both possibilities for me.
Absolutely, yeah. We'd love to see a team out there representing again. I know I'd be down for that. My question for you is that bat under the grip, it's wooden, right?
It is, yeah. It's got. It's wood all the way up to about here. Actually, you can't see it because of the grip, but it's got a wood handle. It's got a wood grip as well.
That's absolutely crazy. I mean, I know some players usually put like tape or they put like a rubber tire over the bat, or they use they use a different type of tape. I'm forgetting the name of it, but
yeah, they could put like some athletic tape or things like that, or like we've done in the past, we just put bat grip all the way down the whole bat. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, OC Wiffle's definitely gonna be doing that, but it'd be cool to kind of see, some people come out for that. So if you're interested, we'd love to see you guys out there for that tournament, and see what kind of different results we get.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I believe they have like 8 or 9 teams right now. I've got to talk with some guys. I'm looking for some specific guy. I'm looking for these tournaments. I'm looking for something to hopefully represent the best of the best of OC wiffle ball. These competitive tournaments, and hopefully we can possibly win some. There's some good competition out there in Southern California, including main one being the SoCal Whippets, who've finished very well in the previous the United Wiffle Ball tournaments. They finished fourth in 2020 and 2021, and they finished 13th this past year when it was the World Championships. Before it was the National Championships. So they're a very good team. Peter Bockaby does a very good job. He can hit very well. So it'll be fun to hopefully see what we can do against them. I think we can do well if we get the right guys.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Well, we're approaching the 1 hour mark here, so we're gonna turn it over with a little break. Come back and talk about the rest of the things that we've got to discuss here. We got a pretty long episode for you guys, and it's gonna get longer as the season goes by as we get more events coming through here.
Yep.
So we're gonna take a break, and we will see you guys in the next hour of That Scuffed Up episode 8.
Go Sharks. Welcome back to the break, everybody. This is Stephen Hayden and Justin Lee. You might be asking why I'm doing the intro. In between the break, we had an interesting scenario. Justin Lee has lost his voice, actually. He had a magical day at the Magical Kingdom at Disneyland yesterday when we're recording this, which would be Monday for him. Let's just say he had a good time out there, and spending the whole day out there, he lost his voice out there, so... going into wiffle ball tonight, he's going to be struggling to talk, and so if you need to talk to him, it might not be the best time to talk to him tonight. So he's doing sign language now. So
yeah, if you want context, this is what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's not a good sign. It's not the best thing when you're trying to record a podcast. So you're gonna have me. I'm good at talking to myself in just the most random scenarios. So now I just get to talk about wiffle ball to myself and I also get to talk to Justin about it as well. We left off just previously talking about my involvement with SoCal wiffle ball and me getting drafted to the Sharks, which was a pretty cool experience. But I wanted to bring it back to OC wiffle ball now. Coming up in 2 Saturdays from now, which is Saturday, June 3rd. We're finally getting to those June month, and where it starts really feeling like summer. Which tonight I don't think it will really feel like summer. It's been a little overcast, a little rainy the whole day. But there'll be teams going down to San Diego to spend a day down there to have our sand series down there. I believe on Coronado Island. I believe it is something like that. I believe we'll have 4 or 5 teams out there going this time. Just more than we've ever had. So for anyone who doesn't know, or for anyone who's new, starting in the fall of 2022, we started doing a thing where we hosted the Sand Series. It was called the Sand Series. We would often go out to Balboa Beach and play out there. The 2 inaugural teams of this were the Plastic Pitches and the LA Wiffles of OC. That's who. It actually funny story. It actually started out as a scheduling issue. Because we had some rainouts and stuff during the fall season. It was either these 2 teams, they don't play their full number of games, or they play this off-site series. So it's become kind of a tradition now. And I know. Speaking of SoCal wiffle ball, I know they've taken some inspiration from us actually on doing series like this. They'll have. They may have some future. They've announced they may have some future stuff, some special series and things like that. So this is our first time we've done it in San Diego, though. We'll be traveling down for the day. I believe there's something around 4 or 5 teams that are going to be going down there. Includes like the likes of the LA Wolves of OC, the MS Warriors, the Purple Huskies, and I believe the Angel Hernandez Strike Zone. I'm not sure if there are any more that are going out there, but we'll find that out in the next week or so. But I just want to talk a little bit about it. Also involved with this. So we start off each team's going to play like between 1 and 3 games out there. Which we should mention to all the teams who aren't going. This isn't a punishment to you at all. There's not going to be any penalty for not going to these. These are just some teams that are looking to have an opportunity to play in a different scenario, in a different situation, and enjoy a day in San Diego. Whereas the teams that don't go to this will have plenty of opportunities to make it up with maybe with an extra doubleheader during the week or something like that. But overall, it's going to be about 12 o'clock. We're going to start playing games down at Coronado Island, and then that Saturday night, the Padres and Cubs are playing. Perfect for me as a Cubs fan myself. They're going to be playing at I believe 7:05 that day. So it's going to be a good night out there for all of us to enjoy as well. It should be a very fun event. The previous 2 events we've done have been good. This one being on a higher level scale, more travel involved. Whereas before we just went to Balboa Island, somewhere that's relatively local for all of us, living in the Orange County or possibly the LA counties, wherever you may be from. We may have some people that are outside of Orange County, but I believe that's our main demographic for our players in here. But going down to San Diego, it's going to be a different experience. It's going to be something new. I've been down to San Diego a couple times. Been to Petco Park a couple times. Some people may have never gone to Petco Park. It's a very fun ballpark to be at. I believe we're going to be renting out an area. I believe we have over 40 people going to be in this area as well. So it should be a fun night out there. I think we're all going to be enjoying ourselves. In the history of the Sand Series, the plastic pitches, or plastic pitches blue as they became, are 3-0 on these series. And while the LA Wolves of OC have never won a game on the beach. And also we decided for our All-Star game last year to do it in the same area as in Balboa. We did our All-Star game and Home Run Derby there, so maybe that's a possibility for what our All-Star game and Home Run Derby will look like in the future. Those will be coming up right around week 8 or so. We're about a month away from those. So eventually Anthony will start sending out info to the captains. Make sure you vote your 1 player for your All-Star game and 2 people for your Home Run Derby as well. So those will be interesting. I'm just going to check my phone real quickly just to see if there were any other notes. Anthony he sent me some stuff on it as well. We just about covered everything. It's just a way for us to get out. We all see each other on Tuesday nights. It's a way for us to be able to see each other in a different way. I've been taking some sports psychology stuff where it's you have a team event like this outside of your normal practices or games, and you can kind of get a better understanding of who a person really is. So that's what we're trying to do with this, along with having some fun out there playing some wiffle ball. So that'll be a fun time. That's coming up, as I said, on Saturday, June 3rd. Last thing we want. I say we. I apologize, Justin. Last night I kind of want to discuss talking about the Week 5 matchups, which I believe hopefully this podcast is going out before that. I'm not totally sure, but we'll see how quickly Justin's editing skills are. He's may not be able to talk, but he can edit. Hopefully, that doesn't involve his voice. So I'm just going to run through my predictions of the games really quickly. Try not to make this take too long, but just give a little insight to what I think is going to happen. First game is going on left field. It's the Trash Pandas versus Whoosh. Both 1-5 teams. You have the 10 versus the 12 seed. I believe it's going to be a high scoring game. I could see this going either way. Whoosh is a more disciplined, experienced team, whereas Trash Pandas, they're a very high powered offensive team, but can struggle at pitching sometimes. I think it's going to be like a 1 to 2 run game regardless. But I'm going to take Whoosh. I'm going to say that the pitching experience of Donald is going to show today. The Trash Pandas will be able to get some runs off of him and Owen, sure, but I believe it won't be enough for them to win. So I'm taking Whoosh in game 1. Excuse me. Second game on the dirt field, we have the Beach City Bombers versus the Angel Hernandez Strike Zone. You got the number 2 Beach City Bombers now moving up to 5-1 after last week's doubleheader wins. One of them being against the number 1 overall undefeated MS Warriors. So now they've jumped up to the 2 seed. They're taking on the 1-5 Angel Hernandez Strike Zone. As I've said before, there's only a handful of teams I believe are going to beat the Beach City Bombers. I don't believe this is one. Unless Tyler and Zach are missing, I believe the Beach City Bombers are going to win this game. I think Angel Hernandez will be able to get up a couple runs, as we saw in their matchup, in the Beach City Bombers matchup versus who was Wiffle D's. They played Wiffle D's last week. Wiffle D's managed to get 1 run, but I think Angel Hernandez Strike Zone will get a couple runs. I think they'll be patient up at the plate and be able to get some walks and get a timely hit, but I think Beach City Bombers will be able to hit a lot in this game. Next up, we have the Brothers of Bash, the number 7 seed versus the now only undefeated team in the league, the Purple Huskies, who are now 6-0 on the year. They've been off to a great start. They were able to sneak away with a 4-2 victory last week versus the Avocabros. The Brothers of Bash had a very up and down week last week, winning their first game 13-0, and then losing their second game 14-0, and only getting 1 hit in that second game. I believe I believe the Purple Huskies are gonna win this game. I believe it's gonna be. I believe it's. This could vary in score a lot. I don't see the Brothers of Bash winning this game, but this could be either a close game or it could just be a blowout. I don't think it'll be like in the middle. But I'm either way, I'm taking the Purple Huskies to win. Next up, we move to the 725 slot. I actually got the Purple Huskies again. Right away. Playing against the Bad News Stingers. Bad News Stingers holding on to that 6 spot, I should say, with a 3-3 record right now. I got the Purple Huskies winning again. I believe the Purple Huskies are not going to allow many runs. I believe they're going to allow more runs against Brothers of Bash than they will the Bad News Stingers. And I believe they'll keep. They could even get a shutout in this game with a combination of True, Shaden, and Drake pitching. Which we should mention just quickly for the Beach series that it sounds like True Hendrickson will not be available for the Purple Huskies when they go out to the Beach series. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But coming back to this game, I've got the Purple Huskies winning. I think Joe pitches well against them. Purple Huskies only scored 4 runs against the Avocabros last week, who usually give up a lot of runs. But I got the Purple Huskies running away with it. Next up, going on in the center field, we have the Avocabros versus the Goat Hill pitchers. Anthony Agrusa coming off 2 straight wins in a row. Matt Hornich's been pitching well, and Avocabros losing a very close game to an undefeated team. I think this one could possibly be an upset. I think Anthony's team could win this one. The combination of him, Matt Hornich, and Harrison. I think those 3 need to be their power suppliers. Whereas people like Shelby, Trevor Bushy, and Lauren Caruso, I believe it is. If they can find their way on base, I can see this team winning this game. That's what I'm going to predict. I'm going to say that the Goat Hill pitchers win this game in an upset, which puts an interesting spin onto the rest of the season for the Avocabros. But we'll see what happens when we get out there tonight. Next up, final game of the 725 slot. We got the Angel Hernandez Strike Zone versus Brothers of Bash. 2 teams who also played in the first slot, who I predicted both of them will lose. I've got the Brothers of Bash winning here. They're in the 7th seed right now. They're right on the cusp of moving up to a playoff spot. I got Nick Agrusa, Nick Hedges pitching well for them, and I believe they'll be able to pull off a victory versus Angel Hernandez Strike Zone. I believe Angel Hernandez Strike Zone's maybe a hitter or 2 or a pitcher or 2 away from starting to compete more in the league. But for a first season, they did get their win. They did beat the Trash Pandas in a walk-off win. So it's good for them to get some confidence, but you go through the growing pains sometimes. And my team went through, the other Wolves of OC went through some growing pains last year. it's not an easy process. You know, yeah, we had one season we went like 3-8 and finished second to last in the league. Another season we went 4-7. We finished seventh out of 10 teams in the league and didn't make the playoffs. So you get the growing pains as you come. Hopefully they stick around, and from the sounds of it, they would love to stick around. They've got a dedicated bunch, and they got a group that wants to improve and get better. Finally, coming up to the 8:25 slot, the final 3 games of the night. We got the Bad News Dingers taking on Wiffle D's. Bad News Dingers will be coming into their second game of the day, I believe. Yet, off of what I predicted, will be a loss to the Purple Huskies. They'll be playing Wiffle D's. Wiffle D's has had some good time. They've looked good at some times, and then sometimes they've not looked so good. They are only 1-5 so far, but I believe there are 4 teams that are 1-5 right now in the league. That looks about right. Yeah. I think this one could possibly be an upset. Bad News Dingers. I had them losing their first game. They'll be down to 3-4. They're just holding on to that 6th spot right now, which would be just in the playoffs. I think this is going to be a very close game. I think it may come down to the final inning. It may come down to be a 1 or 2 run game. But I'm gonna predict that Wiffle D's is gonna win this one. I think they're gonna start figuring some stuff out pitching, and I believe overall they're gonna have some success against Joey Reese and Shane McCoy at the plate. I think they're gonna be able to get across just enough runs. Thanks to the pitching, and hopefully the pitching of Chris Garza and Kevin Norman is able to. They're able to find their way into getting some outs for their sake. So I'm predicting Wiffle D's to win that matchup. Next matchup, I got the MS Warriors versus the Avracabros. 3 versus 5 seed. The MS Warriors, who took their first loss of the season last year, no longer in the 1 spot, now all the way down to the 3 spot behind the Purple Huskies and the Beach City Bombers. The Avracabros playing their second game of the night, which I predicted they would. In my predictions, I had them losing the first game. The second game, I think is going to be a bounce back game for the MS Warriors. I think they're going to come out here with a different hunger. You know, that last season when they lost their first game, they had to jump straight into the playoffs, and maybe they just weren't able to totally adjust right. You know, there was some stuff with playing a tough team, the other Wolves of OC, a team who had already played 1 game and already won. Dylan Hoffman threw out his shoulder and had to get put back in. Who knows how much that affected his swing or anything like that. But I got the MS Warriors winning this game relatively comfortably as well. I think they'll be able to. I think they'll find their groove again and be able to and start hitting more. Finally, the last game of the night, I got the Goat Hill Pitchers and the 8 seed versus the number 4 LA Wolves of OC. LA Wolves of OC playing their first game tonight. Goat Hill Pitchers, who I predicted they would have their first game of the night. They would win over the Avracabros, but I'm taking the other Wolves of OC here. It's a matchup of board members. You have Anthony, who's the commissioner of the league, versus Steven and Justin, who are board members, and then seen the guy like Steven, who's seen as like the second in command of the league and things like that. Steven and Jordan on the mound have been great this year, and also at the plate, these two have been great this year. The big key for the Wolves of OC is just to get contribution for the rest of the guys. Justin Leaf started finding the groove again last week with 2 singles and a home run. He started getting on base again. Just they need guys like Dylan Menji, Dominic Caroni, Ethan Lee to start getting on base again. But I believe even without that, the power alone of the Steven, Justin, and Jordan will be able to get them through. I don't think they'll allow many runs versus the Goat Hill pitchers. Both the other Wolves of OC pitchers have under a 3.5 ERA. Steven has a 2.3. Jordan has a 3.4. I believe they'll continue that trend, and they'll be able to come away with I'd say a somewhat comfortable victory. But we'll see what happens out there tonight. Those are all the games we have for this week. Should be a fun night. It should be a fun night out there. Little bit wet right now. A little bit of dew or a little bit of mist throughout the whole day, from what I've seen so far. hopefully that doesn't affect the play too much on the field. Hopefully we actually get to play on the fields. That would suck if it were the case of where we were unable to play, because the Great Park is notorious for shutting down the fields pretty quickly if it starts to rain and things like that. But we should be out there. There's been no other word that we won't be out there, so it should be a good night out there. I believe that's all we have for this week. Sorry, this part is a shorter part, or maybe some of you, I'm not so sorry. I know some people don't like the shorter part. They don't like the longer episodes and things like that. So I haven't seen the shorts, like 5 to 10 minutes video from Anthony. I haven't seen him that being posted. I'll continue to make those and send them over to him if he wants to do them. So it should be for those people who aren't interested and listen to the whole thing. Hopefully in the future we'll be putting that out as well, just as something quick, as a little reminder as to what people did, things like that. Other than that, Justin, is there anything else you think we need to add? You can just nod your head yes or no. I know you can't talk. All right, sounds good. Yeah, we'll keep this part short. I mean, it's a little unfortunate. You got to do what you got to do sometimes. You got to take what life gives to you. Justin, at least Justin had a fun day yesterday, even if he lost his voice. He had a fun day out at Disneyland. Looks a little tired right now, but hopefully he'll be awake for tonight. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. Keep listening to the podcast. If you share it with any friends or family that you got. Talk about hey, this is a pretty serious league. We got a football podcast going on. Explaining it. We got all the different attributes of this league that we have going on here. So again, we appreciate it. Stephen Hayden, from myself and from Justin Lee. We'll see you out there, and we'll see you for the next podcast. Go Sharks!